Hey guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge based here in Minsk. My company has been relocating people to Belarus for almost 5 years now. February will be 5 years, I hope. And today we're talking about local headlines, some local and global stuff that happens in and outside Belarus, affecting our way of life. Something that you may want to consider traveling here or relocating here. Many thanks to people who are donating to the channel. It helps to roll out these videos and something more to the point. Some video about bureaucracy will be coming soon. And let's get started. Normally I say that travel has not been hampered much, except Lithuania has now closed its borders for November for sure, probably for December. They may or may not lift it considering Christmas traffic, but well, that's Lithuanian, so something hard to predict. Polish checkpoint is still open, 2 Latvian checkpoints are still open. Lithuanians seem to be accepting EU nationals returning from Belarus. So this is something you may want to consider in your logistics. Otherwise, flying in and flying out through Minsk airport is still visa-free, or you can do it on a visa if you need one or if you have one. And otherwise, safety-wise and everything is still the same. There's quite peaceful, quite nice, quite interesting out here. And life is going on at its own pace. As for the local life, we're having holidays out here. The 7th of November was the Revolution Day, so the long weekend is over here, and we're having fun with the last harvest and some brush up at the summer houses in the dachas. Generally, the economy is still cracking on, and the real estate is a very good indicator of that, is still busy, although the sector is showing some price drops in the Minsk World offers. We almost had a deal with one of the Minsk World flats, a pretty skinny place, 29 meters overlooking the railway, a couple of weeks ago with a client, but he was ready to offer 60. Overnight it became 61. I sent him the pictures of the bare walls, and it never worked out because of this price increase. But generally, some 7% of offers out there lower their prices statistically. In this clip we won't be accenting this too much. It seems like the New Year increase in deals, increase in the market activity, let's say, is picking up, and people will be more active. This is just my guess, based on what I'm seeing as a translator involved in this process. An increase in the number of deals, and by New Year there will be a peak when people will be buying reasonable and unreasonable stuff, taking care of their, let's say, melting US dollar savings, and mostly it's US dollars, and trying to invest and save the money as much as they can, as much as they see fit. Let's see what happens. It's just a month and a half away, and what kind of market trends will be in February. It's quite interesting. And speaking of real estate, don't forget that mid-November or whereabouts is the last time when you are supposed to pay your single tax, which is the real estate and car tax if you have a car over here, and the details are in your user cabinet in the on the tax website, tax portal. If you don't have these details, you may want to address your local tax office and get those things to settle the payment. And to finalize the geopolitics issue or aspect, it doesn't seem from the reactions of the Western governments to the drones that emerge here and there. 3 years after the war started, they must have learned the word drone by far and how they are technically reacting to these devices. Obviously, they're Russian, and they are unplated, and they are unmarked, and nobody knows where they flew. So the reaction from the technical and technological point of view is rather, let's say, lame is the word, or improper, let's put it mildly. And any war activities on a large scale do not seem like in the potential of the Western countries sitting next door to us. Again, I'm just a little nobody over here speculating on the subject, so I don't think the situation will worsen. And depending on the progress out there to the south, I guess that things are coming to a conclusion, which, however, is going to be stretched long term. So safety-wise, we're still safe, but how it's going to play, only time will show. Continue monitoring the situation, and maybe you have some anticipation of certain developments over here. Do you think Poland will shut down the border? Do you think Polish and Lithuanians will go hard and, I don't know, launch the second front? You might comment down below, and we'll see what happens in a month. Not that it matters, kind of related to the travel section of our clip. The European bureaucrats decided to cut multiple visas for the Russians. No multiple Schengen visas anymore. You have to line up like in a zoo to get one of those visas to see the blessed Western life. I think it's one of those idiotic decisions that the European bureaucrats are placing just to add more fuel into the fire. I have my own vision about how the conflict could be moderated by the West, but they're not calling and checking me. I'm afraid neither is the local government, but the visa situation, the travel to the West, to the EU countries on my passport, is rather challenging, I would put it that way. The commercial real estate people are reporting that the construction and DIY markets and supermarkets are expanding their premises, and more, let's say, empty spaces are getting booked and rented by the furniture shops and the renovation shops. Renovation is quite exciting and challenging on its own. And this may or may not be an indicator of the pre-New Year real estate, let's say, market turmoil, if we can put it that way. Or somebody just knows something I don't and plans long-term, counting on and betting on these things, and thinking that the newly built places will be renovated, and people are just operators in the sphere are competing with each other, investing money, basically. Speaking of the taxes as well, the tax ministry isn't wasting time, and it seems like there's going to be a threshold introduced for the overseas transfers into Belarus and the presence into Belarus. The current limit seems to be 11.5 thousand rubles, presents and donations from non-friends, so that's going to hit the bloggers as well, although not really in my case. And the amount of untaxable donations and presents is going to be dropped to some 6,000 rubles. It's going to be introduced next year, so there is some time to regroup your assets and warn your audience about finding those links downstairs to help the channel. Otherwise, mostly the presents from abroad are kind of manageable from the bureaucratic point of view, although sometimes if it's something quite expensive, the tax office may trouble your friend or partner about what it is and where it comes from. All complicated issues like properties and everything is best to handle through a lawyer, first a consultancy, then the transfer of the property, and our company was involved in such solutions when people needed to minimize their taxes, changing ownership for the sake of tax reports in a different country. So if you have some of these questions, definitely not in the comments on the public board. Find my contacts down below. Contact me directly. Belarusians seem to be one of the top dairy consumers in the world, dairy products. Seems like we're number one with over 110 kilos per person per year, while Australia and New Zealand are just lagging behind, somewhere barely exceeding 100 kilos. Well, quality is arguable. By the way, if you're any fond of the local dairy products, you may put your experience down below. I know a guy who buys local whey protein by the tons and exports it elsewhere. Seems like a good business niche. And yeah, it works. It's cool stuff mostly. Read ingredients and see if you can get an attachment, develop a bond to a certain brand over here, and it may make your living in Belarus more enjoyable. Another interesting point about messages and transfers. A few weeks ago, I was a translator at some case when a let's say Chinese guy got a transfer to his wallet and then to his bank, and his bank card got blocked, and he had to go to the police to find that the crypto that he exchanged privately, which is illegal by the way, you have to use HTTP resident exchangers. Probably you'll just Google for those. And the guy was basically paid for his crypto with someone's stolen money. I don't know how this works in the virtual world, but he got a polite warning in the police, which was kind of funny, and hands were shaken, papers were signed, and the card probably got unblocked later. So be careful about those transfers you're getting, intentionally or unintentionally, and try to block some of those you're not expecting through the bank directly, not manually through the phone or something. A little bit of the car theme. The Russians almost had some pretty steep tax on cars introduced, and they got their market up a little bit. As for our little dead market over here, the Ladas are still selling. Geely is the Chinese brand that took over Volvo, has its production over here. And they're having some sales, and if you're driving one of those new shiny Geely cars, you may leave a review about how it works for you, especially if it's the second year, by the way. Otherwise, Geely and Renault have signed some kind of a cooperation contract. Not sure how much this will affect us, so if we're going to have some Belarusian Renaults produced, but they seem to have some manufacturing in Brazil that they are stepping into. That's about it. The car tax over here is quite generous, but buying a car, especially a second-hand car, requires some challenging efforts, and it may take some effort and time and resources to get a good deal. One of my subscribers over here is driving his shiny Mercedes, but what was the trouble? If I remember it right, the second-hand, double-checked, garage-verified Mercedes had its dashboard tailored or retransplanted from miles per hour into kilometers per hour. That's how he got his 2 fines quite swiftly after he launched the engine. So started the engine. So you have to really carefully analyze those deals, just like with real estate. Marriages and divorces in Belarus have some fairly stable statistics. In 2024, it seems there were 46,000 marriages roughly and 34,000 divorces. Both procedures are fairly simple bureaucratic, let's say, events. If you're a foreigner, you'd have to have a translator, not necessarily, let's say, a Japanese translator if you're a Japanese guy getting married here, and some papers. I have a video about an American citizen getting married in Belarus. Maybe I'll make one about an American citizen divorcing in Belarus soon, because we seem to have a little divorce here brewing up with pretty, let's say, sour relationship between the parties. Generally, people part amicably, shake hands and everything, but when there are properties and emotions involved, it's a bit complicated. So let's hope I'll meet that lawyer down the week and we'll shoot some stuff about this and how this can be handled legally and especially remotely, and especially if one of the partners isn't really happy about things. It seems traffic cops are stepping up activities about evacuating the vehicles that were parked by the pedestrian crossings. I believe by law, unless the pane suggests otherwise, it's 15 meters that you have to observe between your car parked by the pedestrian crossing. A bit hard to observe with 900,000 cars in Minsk with 2 million people living around. So they basically pick up the car in the old-fashioned way, tow it away. So you may want to leave your phone on a dashboard if you were my client and you know how it works in my car and in most cars of reasonable people over here, because if somebody rings you up and you pick up your car, the towing machine will have to unload it, drop it off. You'll get your fine, but you won't have to fish for your car in some remote and unhuman-looking garage for sinners. It's a special topic. I think I filmed a video about the cars being evacuated and how to get one out of the clause of the law. Maybe if the topic is interesting for you, we'll get it covered in the next videos. A quick reminder also about the taxes. Rental fees for landlords. Landlord tax paid monthly will increase from next year, and in Minsk each room will be costing 53 rubles per room you rent out for tax. In the province, larger cities like Vitebsk, where we have those investment properties grouped up, it's going to be 49 rubles instead of 46. It also seems that the base unit, it's my guess again, it's not official piece of news, will go up, and from 42 rubles it's likely to be 45 in 2026. Unless one of their accountants goes crazy and will make it 44 rubles and 50 kopecks. In this case, all the fees and payments and fines will be just screwed up in calculation and payment. Well, last but not least, it seems like traffic cops are pretty actively introducing all sorts of innovations. That parking stuff is going to be fixed through video cameras. There's a special car being actually test driven through Minsk streets. I posted it on my Telegram channel over here. And they'll be just posting you a fine without dragging your metal away through half of the city where you'll have to chase it. So things are going to be fun. For sure. Don't forget about those New Year holidays. We have 2 Christmases, but nothing is going to be like 2 week long. 25th of December, if it's merging with, let's just check the calendar about the oncoming holidays. We'll be publishing that in the oncoming videos. But New Year only has 31st and the first days off. 2nd is a working day as far as I recall. 2nd or 3rd. 3rd of January seems to be a Saturday, and it's already a working day. 7th of January is the Russian Orthodox Christmas. Not a super big deal, but half of the country is celebrating, and it's an official day off. Track these things, stay in touch, share your opinion in the comments down below. Donate $5 or $10 if you have money to spare to improve the sound and the picture. Thank you very much. Cheers from Minsk. See you soon at some point.